Hi, Lisa Soland here, Senior Editor with Climbing Angel Publishing, and this is part 2 of the interview with Tonya Celeste Hobbs in her new book, Ruby and the Treasure Within. All right, so we were talking in the break here about, all you writers know about this, but the difference between plot and theme. So we know as writers that the plot is a sequence of events, and the theme, it's a little harder to explain it, but the theme is the heart of the writer. And everybody can say it a different way, but definitely that in your case, it's the heart of the writer. Mm-hmm. It's the point of the story. The theme is the underlying idea of what the author is trying to say. It's the emotionality, right? Where the plot is action. It's the sequence of events. So if you're talking about The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy comes home, she's, talking about her fear of her dog being taken away because he bit the neighbor, blah, blah, blah. Tornado comes, she ends up in Oz. Okay, so that's a sequence of events, but some would argue that the theme is there's no place like home, or you can wander all around the world, but when you come back home, you realize that's the ideal place. So talk about, we don't want to give away everything, of course.
Sure.
But talk about what the plot is of Ruby and the Treasure Within.
Well, the plot starts out with a 8-year-old little girl. She's unique. She's very unique in that she likes to climb trees. She doesn't mind getting dirty. She just is always looking for things that people don't ever even notice.
Yeah.
And it's hard to even explain what
she's got a feeling. She's got a feeling that she's a puzzle and there's some pieces missing.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly a good way to say it.
Yes, it is.
We used the puzzle thing in the first part, but
absolutely.
Yeah, there's something missing. She can't figure it out. And she tries different things. She's trying to figure out and find her way.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So she has a best friend next door who is another little boy, and they just love to climb trees and sit in the trees and talk about things. She experiences some difficulty with some kids at school, and even the next door neighbor's sister is a little bit problematic. But she gets wisdom and insight from the teacher, from some experiences that happen next door, and some from her parents. And so it's just a process of her discovering what matters.
So her world is really her mom and dad. She's an only child. She also goes to school, and we experience, I'll tell you what, one of the great things I liked about the book is that you are pulled right into your childhood. It pulls you right back, because one of Tonya's strengths as a writer, we all have them. We all have the things we want to work on. But one of her strengths is being able to capture the world of a child. She's able to write that incredibly well. And for me, I was able to go back and visit my own childhood and see the places that kind of needed some healing.
That's awesome.
And there's nothing like healing your childhood when you're safely in your life as an adult. No, you can't do it when you're there and exactly. All that stuff's going on.
Right.
But it's nice to be able to reflect back and allow God to heal those places. And that is really one of the gifts that people are going to get from your book.
Well, I just wrote what God told me to write.
Now, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you think? What do you think Christianity and your faith in Christ? Tell me about the impact or the different way that you approach your writing because of that, your faith influence on your life.
Well, the voices that I've had in my head my whole life is that nobody wants to hear what I have to say. But if you have something deep within you that you've got to get out, and you're like, okay, I don't know how to do this because I know of God's faithfulness and how he's brought me through all of it. I'm like, well, if you want me to tell about it, you got to give me the words. So I would literally say, God, speak. Now he would reveal each chapter as it went along and kind of give me a theme or a scene to play out. And he was just like, you have fun with that. And so then that was when the creative juices started flowing, like, how am I gonna orchestrate this. And once I had an idea of where I was headed, then it was okay.
It's interesting as a Christian. I can't go an hour without talking about Jesus or
Right.
God.
Exactly.
And sometimes people don't understand that, but talk about why that is, because the theme, I don't want to say the theme of Christianity. This is a story of, the theme is Ruby gets introduced to Jesus Christ through 3 instrumental people that come into her life. And she pretty much invites Jesus to be her friend, to come alongside of her in her life. Now, the words in which she says that, are maybe a little different than an adult might say that. But Tonya, your book is going to influence a lot of people. People don't understand that your life is completely changed.
Absolutely.
When you accept Jesus as the leader of your life. It changes your life so much. And if you're not a believer, then it's really difficult to understand that, because you haven't gone through it. And I remember I was there at one point where I was looking at other people that had that. And I have to tell you, I was harsh, because
you didn't understand. Though.
I didn't understand.
You didn't understand.
I didn't understand. And you can't unless it happens to you.
Exactly.
But it happened to Ruby in this book, doesn't it? And how does it change Ruby? We only get to see it, maybe one chapter, of where she's changed, but might there be other books? We don't know.
Possibly. Yeah.
How does it change Ruby?
Well, I think she's like every other child out there looking for some significance, for something of value. And too many times the world tells us what we should be looking for. And so she's really open to hearing and learning. And I think that that's the big thing about children, is they are open to learn and to explore. And they're very observant about things around them. So I just think that that's kind of where it started for her, is that she was already searching. She just didn't know it.
Yeah. And she was born in a family where her mom and dad, at one point in their lives had gone to church, but they didn't really have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And there's a difference. But absolutely, if you are raised in an environment where you are not introduced to Christ early on, boy, it makes me want to cry. That's a real challenge.
Yes, it is.
It's a real challenge. What do you have to say to those people that maybe didn't have that opportunity and now have a little bit of maybe a little hardened heart to that? Jesus said, let the little children come to me, that heaven was theirs. It's tough to come to Jesus as a child when you're not a child anymore. You're a grown up and you're in this crazy world.
Well, it is difficult. And I would say I don't understand that, because I did come to Christ when I was a child, but I also bought into the lies about, well, if God loves me, he's going to protect me from certain things. And that didn't happen. And so I questioned God's love for me. So that was kind of a reason why I wanted Ruby to understand it in the book, for it to be very, very clear that there was nothing that she could do to earn his love.
Now, we're not going to release these videos until after the people that helped to inspire the book. I mean, it's remarkable as an artist how these things come together. There's many, many things. But can you tell me about Mark and Jan and what they actually did in your life?
Oh, I would not be here today if they had not poured their love out to me. It actually didn't start with them. It started with another couple that lived across the street from us, an elderly couple that I don't even remember anything except for them driving me to church. And then I got saved and I got baptized, and that was wonderful. It was an amazing experience, even at 8 years old. I don't know how I could remember that, but then time went on and they were my neighbors that were in the thick of it with me. I mean, I was a teenager at that point, and there was a lot of bad things going on, but their love was just unconditional, and they would constantly pull me in, love me, pray with me, take me to church. Best friends with their child, Heather. So it was a God thing that they lived right across the street from me. And so I thank them all the time. And I'm really excited about them finding about the book because they have no idea.
Right.
So
we're not talking about it, but when this comes out, they'll have already
yes,
known.
they will have found out.
But Tonya did dedicate the book to them because they were instrumental in loving her through probably the most difficult time of your life. And when you're a child and you're in the most difficult time, that's really difficult because you are not 18, you're not of the legal age, you're susceptible to the environment in which you were born. It's difficult, isn't it? But you got out because of the love of Christ working through these people. And that's similar to our protagonist in the story, Ruby. Do you think a writer writes a lot from their own life?
I think so. I think that that's how, the story formulates is coming from something within,
I think that the best stories come from within. I mean, even a science fiction writer like Ray Bradbury, he claimed that all of the work for the rest of his life he got from the first 5 to 8 years. So those are the developmental years, good and bad. And I always tell writers that's some of where the strongest material will be found by you. And we are treasure diggers as writers. We dig the treasure from within, to write these powerful, powerful stories. Well, we will see you in part 3 of this interview with Tonya Celeste Hobbs, talking about her new book, Ruby and the Treasure Within. Thanks.